The Grand Theft Auto franchise has been known to rankle parents. With that in mind, we've compiled some of the series' grittiest and more gruesome moments. These wild scenes are sure to upset mom and dad, unless they're the type of folks who enjoy the occasional chainsaw massacre. The violence in Grand Theft Auto can be some pretty disturbing stuff, even in those rare instances when the bloodshed takes place off-screen. Case in point, one particular grisly scene in Grand Theft Auto 5 unfolds in this scuzzy apartment, where a wildly high-strung woman named Debra happens to live. If you've ever played the game, you probably know the scene we're talking about here. While Debra is away at a conference, the deeply unhinged Trevor takes up residence at her apartment. Shortly after the mission, friends reunited, that's where he first meets Floyd, who happens to be Trevor's juggalo pal Wade's cousin. You got all that?
You gotta go, both of you. My girlfriend, she'd kill me if she knew I had guests.
Well, it's not much of a girlfriend if she don't like your family.
Trevor being Trevor, he soon turns the place into a disgusting, derelict dump. Debra and Floyd eventually return to the apartment during the Hang 10 mission. She's understandably furious about its condition and blames Floyd for letting Trevor stay there. Wouldn't you do the same thing if you were in her shoes?
I've got a career! I don't need this!
The screaming match escalates quickly. Debra pulls out a gun and Floyd grabs a knife. Trevor totally wigs out and then the screen fades to black. Seconds later, Trevor walks out of the apartment, covered in blood.
Did you meet Debra? Ooh, interesting lady.
Neither Debra nor Floyd are ever seen again. It's quite unsettling stuff on the best of days, and we suspect your mom and dad would disapprove. This one is tough to shake. Jay Norris is the founder and CEO of Life Invader, a social network that sells the personal information of its users to corporations and the government. Lester Crest isn't a big fan of these shady business tactics, so he gives Michael a little something to take care of Norris once and for all. In one of the most memorable missions in Grand Theft Auto 5, Michael is sent to Life Invader undercover. His mission? To plant a device in Norris's phone before his big keynote presentation. After he accomplishes this seemingly innocuous task, Michael simply drives home, kicks back on the couch, and watches the speech along with the rest of the world. After a few button presses and a very short phone call later, Jay Norris suffers a most unfortunate fate, and it's all thanks to Michael's handiwork.
I think someone's trying to talk with me. Hello?
Panic staffers do everything they can to stop the broadcast, but it all happens so fast and so violently. Although some fans may feel that Norris's death is justified, parents may find the scene a little bit difficult to stomach. The Grand Theft Auto franchise doesn't exactly hold back on the carnage, but there are some moments that will even shock seasoned players. Case in point, one particularly gnarly moment comes courtesy of Grand Theft Auto 5. Meet lawyer Molly Schultz, an associate of shifty billionaire and businessman Devin Weston. Schultz eventually meets a wholly unexpected and seriously gruesome end. Schultz spends a good deal of time keeping the lines of communication open between the three main game characters and Weston. However, when she absconds with the sole copy of one of Michael DeSantis' films, she basically signs her own death certificate. She makes a run for the airport. Michael chases after her, but he actually just wants to talk. She assumes he wants to kill her and flees in a panic. After Michael pursues her through a hangar, she makes a huge mistake, running right in front of a jet airliner.
Look out!
It's a seriously shocking end to the character, and we imagine it won't sit too well with mom and pops. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto 5 provides players with numerous opportunities to maim and kill, but there's one particular scene that really takes human suffering to the next level, and it's undoubtedly one of the most squirm-inducing sequences in gaming history. In this sequence, Trevor gleefully tortures Ferdinand Kerimov, who may or may not have some important intel about an alleged terrorist.
I think it's a good time, buddy. You know, go for a drive.
Depending on the choices you make while playing, this disturbing sequence can involve Trevor waterboarding the poor fellow, and it's really rather tough to watch. He can also hit Kerimov with a wrench, either in the arm, the knee, or other sensitive parts of the anatomy.
Be gentle. Please don't hit me!
If all this wasn't horrible enough, Trevor can also inflict numerous electrical shocks with the car battery, which will, of course, cause grievous bodily harm. The hot-blooded psychopath can also extract Ferdinand's teeth with a pair of pliers. Options? Trevor's got him. Is this part of the game tough to play? Absolutely. Is it something parents would very much like to see? Probably not. Grand Theft Auto games usually provide ample opportunities to go on a rampage, should you so choose. During a rampage, you can go totally nuts, mowing down innocent pedestrians, drivers, cops, and pretty much any other poor fool who stands in your way. But in Grand Theft Auto 5, these rampages serve as specialty missions for the game's most unstable main character, Trevor. As you may already know, it doesn't take a whole lot to set Trevor off. One lousy conversation is all it takes for him to completely lose his cool and fly into a violent rage, mowing down people left and right. He's just not a very nice guy.
Send some more out, make it a fair fight.
For Trevor, there are 5 different rampages in all, with new ones unlocked as he makes his way through his missions. While these rampages can make for ideal stress relief after a hard day's work, they would most certainly freak out Mom and Dad. The altruist cult is one of the most messed up things in Grand Theft Auto 5. They're a group of older men who are none too fond of technology, or for that matter, clothes. Players will definitely have to deal with the altruists at some point, or they cleave and shoot their way through the game. Oh, and a word to the wise. During your travels, you might stumble upon 2 altruists as they torment a young woman on the side of the road, and try to devour her flesh. Consider yourself warned. Eventually, the altruist cult captures Trevor, but he quickly turns the tables, cleaning house on the entire compound, and killing each and every one of these free-spirited lunatics. Some parents may object to cults in general, and almost all of them object to cults that don't like to wear clothes, but do like to assault and eat people. How can we put this gently? Several ladies of the night provide a bit of local color to the already colorful world of Grand Theft Auto 3. And if you want to be truly sociopathic, there's an extremely depraved way to get your money back after you've used their services. But first, you need to pick up one of these young women. After you have a little chat, they'll hop in your car and accompany you to a shady spot. And then they'll join in with you making the car rock, right there and there. At the end of the day, you won't see anything too sordid, just a rocking car. But you will earn a health boost. Afterwards, they'll take their money and be on their not-so-merry way. Of course, this sort of sleazy scene will probably offend your parents' delicate sensibilities, right? Well, you can make the scenario much, much worse, should you so choose. Yes, you can get out of the car and assault the poor soul to get your money back. Your parents will be so proud. When Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out in 2004, it was already riding a wave of controversy thanks to its violent content. And then a modder stumbled upon a dirty little minigame, which has come to be known as hot coffee. Unfortunately, most of the hot coffee sequence is just a little too hot for our purposes today, but you can certainly find it on YouTube if you're curious. Needless to say, the hot coffee minigame puts players in full control of Cole Johnson, as he gets down and dirty with one of his many girlfriends.
You better treat me good.
Keep talking.
How about a little coffee?
You can probably guess what happens next. Though the sortie sequence couldn't be accessed while playing San Andreas, players could get their hands on the content if they knew how to hack the game. As a result, San Andreas was immediately re-rated AO for adults only, and Rockstar had to work quickly to remove hot coffee from future copies of the game. Should you ever get your hands on an old copy of San Andreas and figure out how to access hot coffee, just make sure Mom and Dad aren't around, okay? That would just be really awkward for everyone. Anyone who's ever seen Scarface would immediately recognize this particular visual cue. Grand Theft Auto Vice City is the first game in the franchise to introduce chainsaws into the grisly proceedings, and the game's main character, Tommy Vercetti, can use it however he sees fit. This opens up a lot of truly horrifying possibilities. The chainsaw is capable of cutting through most things in Vice City. That includes cars and even the occasional ambulance. This means you can be your very own one-man chop chop. The chainsaw even lets you take down multiple adversaries at once, or even innocent pedestrians, if that tickles your fancy. In fact, you can feel free to go on a Leatherface-style chainsaw spree at a moment's notice. Knock yourself out. Yes, indeed, the chainsaw is an excellent choice if you're looking to execute a bunch of people in a hurry. Just don't let Mom and Dad see you do it. We imagine they would have some questions. Grand Theft Auto 4: The Lost and the Damned isn't the first video game to feature characters without their clothes on, and it certainly won't be the last. Nevertheless, the franchise cooked up quite a shocking little moment in this downloadable expansion pack, and we're confident that no one ever saw it coming. In fact, most players probably wish they hadn't seen it at all. The unforgettable sequence takes place during the politics mission, when Johnny Klebitz runs into Congressman Thomas Stubbs during a visit to the Jousters Club. Things get a little uncomfortable. That's because Stubbs is extremely comfortable with his body, and he isn't wearing any clothing at all.
Now that you mention it, I'm starting to feel a little queasy.
At first, we don't see anything, but then suddenly, there he is in all his glory. We're talking total full frontal there, in front of God and everybody. And it's not censored or blurred out in the slightest, it's just there. It's a marvelously manipulative scene, because you start to wonder whether they're really going to go for it, and then boom. The scene certainly threw gamers for a loop, and if you think they were surprised, just wait till mom and dad catch a glimpse. Players are often asked to go the extra mile in the Grand Theft Auto series, but a mission in Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories really takes the cake. In the gory dead meat sequence, we learn the extremely gruesome fate of a certain Giovanni Casa. The story so far: following a blackmail situation that involves Casa dressing up as a baby, the reclusive Martha, the mother of the main character, Tony, is beside herself.
After you took that photo of Casa, he stopped paying his protection money. And what are you doing about it? Nothing!
After telling her son she wishes he had guts, Tony decides to do something about it. He confronts Casa and takes him to the sawmill. Casa soon gets wise to Tony's cruel intentions and tries to run away. And who can blame him? Of course, Tony eventually catches up with Casa and brutally kills him. And then comes a part with the actual guts. Tony chops up Casa with an axe and grinds down the corpse. Then he heads to the delicatessen, where a clerk prepares to sell it to hungry customers. Your mom and dad would surely lose their appetite, so please don't let them see this sordid scene. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SVG videos about your favorite games are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.